Hello, hello! Welcome to our Safe Harbour's Captain Corner, your place to get informed about first steps to recovery and how we help to create healthy and safe communities. During our live episodes, we share insight, views, real stories, and educational resources. As always, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments so we can get back to you. I'm Kirsten, First Mate of Marketing at the Harbor, and today we have a special guest. Today with me with Kath Hoffman, Captain of the Harbor, is Stacey Carmichael with Turning Point. And the reason of that is because we love her. That's the first thing. And the second is that Safe Harbour and Turning Point have been working hand in hand for a long time. And tomorrow is Overdose Prevention Awareness Day. And we want to use today's Captain's Corner to shine some light of overdose prevention. And we will do things a little bit different today because we are three and we want to ask questions that the community has that we know about. And I will just head over or ask Kath to take over from here. The topic, the overarching topic today is what really happens at the overdose prevention site. And that is what we will chat about today. Kath, take it away. And welcome Stacey, and welcome Kath.
Yeah, it's good, and it's good to have Stacey here with us always, as she always is, even if she's not here. So I thought when I was thinking about doing this session, I thought it would be cool if I would talk to Stacey about overdose prevention and that site that she has down in our parking lot and what exactly is going on there. And I thought that because I've read so many comments, there's so much misinformation out there, there's so many myths out there, I thought it would be good to frame questions that way. So Stacey could be answering questions for us about, what the community is kind of asking, and kind of just check out all those perceptions that are out there and get some new ones, because that's what we're here to do, is to learn and help each other. So Stacey, when you think about that trailer in our parking lot, we'd really like to know. I don't have a clue about what you're doing in there, and I'd like to know what's really going on in that overdose prevention site. If I walked in there, what would I see exactly?
Well, the overdose prevention site, as I think someone mentioned, is in a trailer. So it's in an ATCO trailer. So it's just a small facility. You would walk in, you would be seen by a staff person, most often a clinical staff, an RN. You would get given whatever supplies you required. You would use your substances, talk to the staff about what was going on or what have you. The staff would watch you for a little while to determine whether or not you were not going to have any adverse events or effects, and then you would carry on over to the warning center or what have you. It's a very quick kind of flow through program because of its temporary nature.
But you missed a part, because you didn't say when you give me my drugs to use.
Oh, that's a common misperception that people have, is that we actually provide substances to our clients, which we don't. They bring in their own pre-obtained substances. They identify to the staff what they're going to be using, but we don't provide substances.
So why would they go in there and do that compared to just, like, I see people using all over the streets all over? Like, why would they go to your place to do that?
Well, so the people who use the overdose prevention site are pretty well versed in what's going on with the drugs in each community. They know really well that the drugs that we have are contaminated, often with things like fentanyl or God only knows what, that cause adverse reactions in even seasoned drug users. So they want to be safe. They don't want to overdose, and they want to live to see another day for sure. So they know that if something bad were to happen while they were using at the OPS, that clinical medical staff could help them.
So they're actually going there to have somebody kind of keep an eye on them while they're using their drugs.
Yes, yeah. And they're going there because, I mean, drug use is a part of their life that's shrouded in shame for whatever reason. And they're going there because the staff at the OPS accept them for who they are and where they're at. They can have real candid conversations about goals and life, and maybe make some steps and maybe not, and at least feel good coming back the next day or the next couple hours to do it again.
But Stace, if they're worried,
Oops, she's frozen.
It's frozen. I wish you would have finished her question. I could have thought about a good answer.
Yeah, so I have a question in the meanwhile, why she is hopefully coming back. Oh, there she is.
all of you guys disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, we saw your frozen face. We heard until you said worry. If they worry, can you finish the questions?
Yeah, we never got the question.
I don't know what we missed, but I was going to say that if they're going to use the drugs and they're being careful, which is really good, then how is it just because the drug, like, aren't they scared of overdosing anyways? Or is it because the drugs might have something else in it that they don't know about? And that's what they're being careful for. Is that right?
I think it's kind of all of the above. So the contaminated drugs, lots of people are, you know, maybe new to using drugs, or you know,
scared.
new kind of drug or what have you. I'm certainly not the expert. Sarah and her team over there are working, you know, on the front lines. I can't say exactly why people use it or why, you know, but I can speculate. I know it has a lot to do with feeling welcome and safe.
Yes, indeed. Well, and I can echo that. As I know at Safe Harbour, I was talking to a woman not too long ago who has been she's been healthy for a good long piece of time, healthier than, you know, she had been in a while. And she said, I used to drink by Safe Harbour and I used to sit under the cameras because I knew they could keep an eye on me, right? And that was an interesting way, you know. She kind of still had her privacy, like you're saying, Stace, or she's just, there's somebody there to help keep an eye on me, right? So that's interesting. Now, so when you think about, I know something about the fact that that overdose prevention trailer in our parking lot at Safe Harbour is a very small piece of a bigger picture. Do you want us to talk about that?
So the Overdose Prevention Site came to be kind of as a temporary response to Red Deer having the highest death rates back in 2017, and we're not far off still to this day. So it was a temporary solution while we as a community were working towards a permanent solution. And so it is an overdose prevention site versus a supervised consumption site. The overdose prevention site has its limitations. It doesn't have the same permanency as a supervised consumption site. So there's always that wonder what's going on. It also has, our site particularly has limited capacity to provide those necessary wrapped around services that we know that folks need, like addictions counseling, like access to primary care, those types of things. So while if we would have had a supervised consumption service, lots of those services would have been provided on site, and we could have mitigated some of the concerns that lots of our neighbors currently have through having laundry and showers and bathrooms. You know, we haven't been able to do that. But we have great community partners with, you know, Safe Harbour and Mental Health and Addictions and the, you know, street clinic, and so our staff all work together to try and get people where they need to be respectively. But there is definitely some not gaps, but just some, you know, I guess we have to jump through in our community to get people to services. So yeah, that's kind of the difference. The supervised consumption service would have also had the capacity to have people use drugs through inhalation, which is something that the Overdose Prevention Site doesn't allow for. A lot of people inhale drugs and overdose as a result of that. So you're seeing a lot of public drug use. It isn't always, but it's likely inhalation, and people are still at risk, and they just have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And then, so overdose, yeah, I can talk forever. Overdose prevention also goes bigger than our site, bigger than the OPS, bigger than any SCS. Overdose people use drugs in their homes, throughout their communities. Not everybody has a problematic substance use disorder. So overdose prevention should be a conversation that everybody's having with everybody all the time. We got kids trying, cocaine maybe for the first time, or MDMA. It's contaminated with fentanyl. They're overdosing from opioids. There's just a lot of reasons why we just have to have a candid conversation about drug use and overdose prevention, and it doesn't always have to do with street homelessness or social disorder and that kind of thing. And by focusing there, I think we're doing people a big disservice, actually. Lots of people think, well, I'm not at risk because I don't, inject heroin on the streets, when in fact, if you use any drugs on that you purchased off the streets, you are at risk. So we've stigmatized drug use and people who use drugs, and we have to, change that narrative for sure. So in the meantime, we have the OPS, we have us and our community partners, are doing what we can around education and naloxone distribution and making sure that people are know what's going on. And part of the biggest thing we're doing is fighting that stigma so that people hear what we're trying to say. It's white noise, really, but everybody's at risk of an overdose. If you use illicit drugs, you are at risk. Even, people who maybe are prescribed opioids are at risk of an overdose, but we've just stigmatized it. It's terrible.
Stacey, how many people come usually in the OPS site? Is it during the day? Do you know?
I got the stats on over here. So the average daily visits that we have, I don't actually have daily visits here. So in the month of July, we had 3,181 visits by 309 unique individuals. So I'm not really good at math. I'm going to say that equals about 100 visits a day on average. We're open 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And the majority of those visits are happening, actually, they're kind of even mostly throughout the evening hours.
Mm-hmm.
Stace, if I can take you back to where you were talking about, the amount of people that are at risk of overdose, not just in the corner of the world that we live in primarily every day, for those people who are experiencing homelessness and very ill or whatever, but those kids experimenting, and especially what you said about smoking the drugs compared, I think that everybody thinks of overdoses that have to do with needles. And I think that's really important to remind people that it can happen that way too. And how many people who may not have, like you said, using substances so much they're interfering with their life, but maybe they're doing it recreationally, or not that they're less at risk, but still that real possibility then, because they're having to buy their substances from somewhere that's not safe and clean, nice clean drugs, then whoa, that's huge, man. And certainly speaks to why we see this affecting mainstream, if you will, society so much, right? And people are just like, holy doodle, what happened? I think that's really important to get people to understand that, because you're right, the stigma has us hyper focusing in an area that of course needs that attention, but it is so much bigger than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's freaky. And then
Oh no, you're frozen
especially when I
again.
consider about the shelter. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
you
you
were
just
just frozen for a sec.
Yeah, you guys have been freezing up too. I don't know how that plays on here, but we'll see. But in, when we've been worrying about the amount of overdoses we're responding to at shelter and around in the downtown, and worried about that, of course, when those supports aren't out there as well. We're lucky for your team, your NightReach team, and everybody at Turning Point that I know will help as best they can through this. But this overdose prevention, um, man, like I think that's the most important thing, what you just said, that we really have to get that out. Like, what do you know the stat? Did I hear once that it's like 75% of the people
Yeah,
are people
yeah.
that are experiencing this are people living in their own homes, and ay, 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 ay.
And so like I said, we know, I'm pretty sure we all know a person that would say, or maybe they wouldn't because there's so much shame around drug use, that they might do a line of cocaine now and then, on New Year's or every 5th birthday or what
Yeah,
have you. That person is at risk of an opioid overdose.
yeah.
Well, that's why overdose prevention and overdose awareness is critical. And I appreciate this opportunity to chat about it. And that's why I'll just plug, Turning Point as an agency. We can come and provide your
Yes.
team, your coworkers, your community,
Your business.
your business with overdose prevention training as well as drug trends training. Anytime, give us a call at the office, and we'd love to come do that because it is critical. I applaud the frontline staff at Safe Harbour and Turning Point who respond to these overdoses on a regular basis, because I've had the unfortunate circumstance of doing it myself a few occasions, and it's heart wrenching and terrible. And I know that there are business owners coming out at the end of the day and finding those people in the alleys, and it's only honestly going to get worse before it gets better, I fear. So if we can get everybody trained up in overdose prevention, just like we're trained up in CPR,
Yeah, exactly.
I would challenge everybody to learn about naloxone.
Stacey, you just mentioned so anyone or like any business could call you, and then you would come out and you give a training on that. Do you do that at schools as well? I could see that would be like where people start to experiment with drugs maybe at one point.
Yes, we have gone into schools and throughout Central Zone. So we at Turning Point, we do support the Central Health Zone. So we have gone into schools in Stettler and Hannah. We'll do whatever we can to get the word out there for sure.
Yeah. And you said, and I saw on Facebook and Instagram, like you have a NightReach team. Like, what is it that they actually do? Like, do they bring people to the OPS side, or what do they do?
So we have the NightReach team is just really responding to what's happening on the streets and kind of in the trail system in downtown Red Deer in the evenings. So they will walk someone over to the OPS or over to the shelter. They will perform first aid, hook somebody up with a pair of socks, whatever people are needing. So that's kind of their service. I know that the OPS has kind of liaisons or outreach workers attached to them during the daytime hours that can respond to concerns during the daytime hours. I know Safe Harbour has outreach. So there are definitely options for people who have concerns throughout the community.
And Stace, what's going on with Overdose Awareness Prevention Day week thing? What's the buzz? How can people help? How can people help?
Well, we had a few years ago an unfortunate event turned into a bit of an awareness event for Turning Point. And Ashley Ballin started Leah's Light Walk for overdose awareness, with proceeds going to Turning Point. Leah is Ashley's sister, who unfortunately passed away from overdose. So Ashley's very passionate about the cause. We had a great event 2 years, and then we had to cancel last year because of COVID. And this year we were ready to go again this past weekend. But because of COVID again, we actually canceled the event. So that's really unfortunate, because Turning Point, that is our only fundraiser.
Okay, but Stace, because I like sponsoring people for that walk, I sponsored you last time, and I went down there and had a hamburger, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I want to do that again, so I can just go to.
Well, you can go to on the Turning Point website.
Yeah.
Go to the link there, or specifically for Leah's Light, there is a link set up on the Canada Helps profile that we have.
Okay, perfect.
Donate there, and that would be awesome, because overdose is still happening, unfortunately, and we need all the help we can get. So thank you.
Well, and I know that Ashley has been shining her light so bright, for her sister. And I know how many families, man, when I think about the people that are being forced, if you will, into this new world, who might be, dead from overdose, God, it's really neat to have those lights. They know where a light is, like Ashley's, and they lots of times want to help, but they don't know what to do or how to help. They don't want to bring a lot of attention to themselves. They're tired, they're worn out. The last thing they want to do is talk about overdose. They hate it, of course, right? But then they also want to make a difference too, and so that's an awesome way to just show some support, so we can teach more people, so we can help more people. That's really cool. So Turning Point's website, or Canada Helps, Leah's Light for overdose. That's awesome.
We will post that in the comments after we are done with the video. Then people can have a direct link as well.
Yeah, wait.
Stacey, I have a question. Like, do you during the Captain's Corner, we always share stories of people that have crossed your path. Like, is there anything like a story of a person that have touched you in any way, or maybe of one of your staff, of someone that you have helped at one point and that maybe recovered, or that has created an impact in your life that you could share?
There's so many stories. I have had the opportunity to work in this community, in this kind of similar sector, since 1994. So a few years now. I spent a lot of time working at Safe Harbour, at People's Place before it was Safe Harbour,
Schizophrenia Society.
Yeah, so I have a rich history, and I've seen lots of people move on and make progress in their lives to healthier, just healthier lifestyles. We've gone through recovery or treatment, reconnected with their family, like dogs trying to get that type of thing. So many stories. But we also know that not everybody is going to go down that road, or that as a community we still haven't got it right yet. And so in 1994, when I graduated from social work, I went to work for John Howard, and we went and we tried to do some awareness for people who were camping in the trees outside of what was then People's Place and what is now the Mustard Seed. So that was 1994. We were doing that outreach, and sorry, my dog just anyway, so we're doing that outreach, and we're trying to connect people to services. And I have to say, just the other day, still see one of the same people we saw then on the streets now. And so as much as there's been good, I'm happy that we've been around, and Safe Harbor's been around, and all the other service providers, CMHA, have been around to keep him alive. So yeah,
I hear you.
There's lots of different successes.
And that guy's probably been housed like 4 times, 5 times, It's just, we still haven't found the right mix for him or something. I know.
So I might have this wrong, but in regards to substance use disorders, I know that, and opioid use disorder in particular, that they say that 10% of those who have an addiction or have an addiction, 10% will never actually even seek recovery or treatment of any kind. And so that's what it is. That's reality. That's what stats say. And of the 90% who do seek treatment and recovery, 80 or 90% of those folks will relapse.
Yeah.
And so it's not that it doesn't happen. It's that it's a process, and it takes everybody maybe 2 or 3, 7, 20 different times. And some people might not ever get it. And so that's why it's super important that we have services along the continuum, including harm reduction, overdose prevention, detox treatment, recovery. Because I know a lot of the overdose deaths that are happening are after someone leaves treatment and
they go back to the same level of use.
And because there's so much stigma and shame, they can't ask for help, And so we just need to acknowledge the realities of substance use. We're not encouraging it. We're just acknowledging it. It's been this way forever. And we just want to get it right and keep people alive and supported as they go through their journey. And it might not be your journey or my journey or what anybody thinks journey, but we want to keep them around while they're on their journey.
Good point, Stace. That's a really good point. And I remember when the Overdose Prevention Site was before City Council, and you guys were trying to find a spot to be, and we had to have a public hearing. You had to do it, and good old buddy, one of yours and our regular clients, spoke at that public hearing, City Council public hearing. And this really speaks to the overdose thing, this little story, because that guy, in one sentence.
No, Kath, come back. You want to know what this is?
It's not going to be really impactful.
Come back, Kath. Do you remember that sentence, Stacey, that she wanted to?
Well, I know who she's talking about. I don't know what the sentence was.
Kath, what was the sentence? Because we lost you.
Well, this is frustrating because that keeps happening. So the sentence was that he was describing that he was doing a lot of overdose reversals for all his friends out on the street, right? Like that, he was describing to council that was a part of his everyday, was doing overdose reversals. And he said, I know what all my friends look like dead.
Oh.
And I just was like, what? Like, he does, because they're dying there and he's bringing them back to life. And now he has a picture of what they look like dead. And you and I know, if we have one friend, that we know that they've died, what that does to us. And here's this guy like Robin Hood out there with his naloxone, loving up people. But I know what all my friends look like dead. I just wrote that sentence down and I'll never forget it. And I was just humbled by it. And the shockwave of that just really hit me. I thought that was really telling.
It's unfortunate that that's not the line that people listen to in those.
I know. Well, I think there are lots of people listening to that, certainly more now than ever before, and that's what we can do, is shout those stories out to the rooftops. That's the purpose of Captain's Corner, is to just try and let's think of things in a different way, or broaden our perspectives, or learn something more. And we need to learn about that overdose prevention site, Stace, because what I know from personal experience, before that thing was in my parking lot, my staff were running around outside reversing overdoses all the time, like 8, 9 in a day. And then when you guys came, my staff could stay inside and do their job. And you guys were there, So I know it was contentious as to where you were going to be. But I know my team certainly appreciates that support in that parking lot. Because otherwise they're outside and I'm telling them, hey, you can't be outside. You got to be inside. You're supposed to be working in there, you doorknobs. And they said, we have to go save lives, Kath. And then I say, okay. So.
Oh, yeah, it's tricky out there for all our staff. Really, it is.
Yeah,
and
it's hard.
As you're talking about our friend there, I'm thinking about, trauma-informed care and how important it is, not just for staff, but for our clients and everybody as well. Because it is pretty sketchy out there. Who knew?
Yeah. Before we went on our call, Stacey, you talked about a good neighborhood and long-term plans. Can you share something about that? Like, what are the long-term plans for Turning Point, and what does it mean to build a good neighborhood?
Well, unfortunately, can't even talk about long-term plans. We have goals for sure, and that would be to be able to provide the services in a way that we know need to be provided, like that full fledged wraparound supervised consumption service, increased outreach and women's programming, and working with people in the sex. We need to expand for sure. Those would be our long-term goals, but we certainly don't have any long-term plans because things are up in the air right now for sure. So I just need to acknowledge that our overdose prevention site was kind of imposed on the neighborhood. We didn't do any specific community consultations specific to the OPS and where it is at Safe Harbour because of the nature of how it came to be through a ministerial order, and it was supposed to be temporary. So we did consult on a site close by, and we were moving forward with that, but we weren't able to finish that. So then we've just kind of been doing our thing ever since then. So we are formalizing our good neighbor policy. Our staff have been out and about and visited the neighbors of the overdose prevention site. And we have scheduled our first meeting, I think, for October 7th for folks who are around the overdose prevention site to come and talk about how we can create those safe and healthy communities and work together to support the safety and well-being of everyone in our community. So it's kind of new. Before we were just kind of responding to the community, and now we're hopefully going to be a little more proactive.
Right on. That's
Awesome.
cool, Stace.
Yeah.
So is that something that you invite the neighborhood or the businesses, or is it something that everyone can do? Or?
My kids are now all just like deciding now is a good time to come upstairs. So the invites have gone out to the neighbors in the designated area for that first meeting, and then we'll talk about whether or not we're going to do it for our main office site and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Is there anything else, Stacey or Kat, you would like to share today or would like to shine a light on?
I'm just waiting to see if Stace does.
Oh, I can
Looks
talk
like
for it.
looking to make sure she's got all her
I have some notes. Well,
yeah.
I just was looking at the overdose surveillance report that the province kind of updates now and then. And I just wanted to point out that hospitalizations and emergency department visits are like super, super high as a result of alcohol compared to opioids and that type of thing, which is it's noteworthy, like substantially higher as a result of alcohol, whereas the death by opioids is substantially higher. And so there's a correlation there. One is probably more harmful, and one is killing more people because of its illicit nature, and the stigma that's around it. So we need to really just talk about drugs in a whole new way.
Right on. Good, Stace. That's right, we do. And we will. We'll keep going. Maintain present course.
Is there anything else, Kat, that you would like to add to this or to our session today?
Well, of course, I'd just like to thank Stace for being our first guest on Captain's Corner. She's going to get like a medal or something. I don't know what, but something. and shining her light on, we don't. Sometimes we're so busy, we don't think about that, how important it is to shine a light on each other and all of our teams, and we've got bigger teams too out there. Everybody's trying their hardest right now through this crisis, which seems to be killing people faster than COVID right now. So be good to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, awesome. Anything else from your side, Stacey?
Oh no, I think I'm good. I talked enough. Thank you so much for having me on. I would encourage anyone, if you have additional questions, to be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stacey. Thank you, Kath. For everyone who is listening today or even watching the replay, please comment in the comment box. If you want to support Turning Point, tomorrow is Overdose Prevention Awareness Day. Please go to Turning Point's website. You can donate there. I will post the link in the comments as well. Thank you very much all for listening today, and we will be back next week. And Captain?
Steady as she goes.
Steady as she goes. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.